What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels Podcast. I'm your host, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hello.
Carrie went to MagFest. Not surprisingly, got sick with con crud or whatever the hell else. She's not with us today. It is PalWorld. We are all just living in it this week. We're going to talk about the sensation that's taken Steam by storm. There's a lot of news this week to go over. And then, of course, the post office later in the show. Before we get to that, though, a little bit of housekeeping. Don't forget that you can join our Discord by going to densepixels.com/fans. One of the features of that is you can ask us questions in the weekly post office segment every single week. You can go to youtube.com/densepixels. Subscribe to us there. We do post the podcast in video form every week. Or if you're like me and you're more of an old school podcast app listener, make sure you subscribe to the show on podcast feeds along with all the other TNP Studio shows. And of course, you can sign up for premium content by going to densepixels.com/premium, just $5 a month or $50 for a whole year. We'll get you access to the TNP Studios premium slate of podcasts. And a real easy way to support us with a little bit of money is to use our Amazon link by going to densepixels.com/Amazon, where I'm finally getting around to building my work keyboard. So I'm very excited. I spent a pretty penny on the Amazon today. So
Well, there you go.
Yep. Micah, PalWorld is came out of nowhere and has taken the video game world by storm. It released in early access last week. It has already sold 5 million copies. It's only available on Steam and Game Pass right now, and those are copies sold through Steam. That's not even counting anyone on Game Pass that downloaded it. It has become the third highest concurrent user count game on Steam ever. It has more concurrent users than Dota 2 has ever had, than GTA 5 has ever had, than Elden Ring ever had, than Apex Legends ever had. Like there's a lot of games that had never reached the concurrent peaks that PalWorld has. I think it's sitting at around the highest is 1.5 million concurrent users playing this game on Steam at any one time. The success has caught this company completely off guard. Their servers have crashed a lot because they weren't expecting 5 million people to purchase and play their game on release. But it's also been the recipient of a bit of controversy.
I can see why.
Mostly due to the fact that the game was pretty much advertised as, a little bit falsely actually, but to put it as charitably as I can, it is clear that the monsters in the game have taken inspiration from the famous Nintendo franchise Pokemon. One could say.
Yeah, man. Like this thing looks exactly like that ninja Pokemon. Yeah, these are like, come on, man. Like this one looks exactly like Mewtwo, but like a girl and with longer ear. Okay, all right. This is legally distinct Pokemon here.
Yeah, these are legally distinct Pokemon. So what the game is, Mike? Have you gotten to really check this out at all?
No, I heard I heard it was all the rage. I just never got around to seeing what it is. It has been described. I very briefly did a Google search, and it was described as Pokemon with guns, but I have no idea what type of game this is.
So, and that's why I said I think Pokemon with guns is almost like a bit of false advertisement. Yes, you can get guns in the game and your Pokemon can your legally distinct Pokemon can wield them, but that's not what the game is. Like the game at its core is like a base building survival game akin to something like Valheim or Rust or something of that nature, where you're going out, you're collecting resources, you're building up a home base, you're unlocking technologies and stuff like that so that you can create better production chains and get more efficient resources and things like that so that you can kind of build up your play area and survive some attacks that could come from, I think, events in the game or other players or stuff like that. That's what it is at its core, actually. like
Okay.
it's not an adventuring game like Pokemon is.
So it's not like it's not an
No,
RPG where it's like, hey, let's have these like extreme like dog fights, but the dogs have guns. That's not what this is.
no, it's not. It's definitely not that. It's also got a bit of controversy because the loop. So like Pokemon, like we've joked before that the, you know, like the core premise, if you want to be very cynical about it, is you're literally going out and capturing wild animals in order to make them fight against other people's captured wild animals for money. Like that's that's what you're doing
Yeah.
in Pokemon games.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. In PalWorld though, you can capture these legally distinct Pokemon creatures and put them to work on your base, crafting things and gathering resources for you and working. Now you do have to keep them happy. You have to feed them, and you have to make sure that they get enough rest and take care of them if they get injuries or stuff like that. And because if you don't, it makes them less productive. But some people have some real issues with the fact that you're essentially, enslaving animals for lack of a better term in this game.
You know, our friend of the show, noted cosplayer Demetrius, has always said that Pokemon are slaves. That they essentially. I like the dogfighting analogy to Pokemon because, like, hey, all you do is fight. But the legally distinct Pokemon certainly are indentured servants, to put it at its most polite.
Yes, that is very true. So what's interesting is that this is a self-published game from an independent studio. So they're probably raking in hand over fist money right now, which is very interesting. I'm very curious to see Nintendo, a famously litigious company, what they're going to do in the wake of this game being as popular as it is. Given that the designs are very, very close to what would Game Freak and Nintendo do with the Pokemon series. Now that being said, I don't think that a lawsuit would be a slam dunk here because you can't copyright like you can copyright specific characters and specific art, but you can't copyright a concept of
Right.
colorful monsters.
Right. So you can, if Nintendo can prove that, and they won't be able to do this, but if they can prove that, like, I used to work at the Patent and Trademark Office. It's the worst job in the world, unless you're really, really good at it. And like, there's nothing wrong with this, right?
Mhm.
Like, as close to the designs are, they're just different enough
Mhm.
where you can't, you can copyright a design, but if you change that design just enough, and call it something different, it's perfectly fine to do this.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is fine. I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think Nintendo's only chance would be to be able to cite some level of like marketplace confusion, possibly like being able to stand on that. But also like Digimon exist, which are
Right.
basically, like Pokemon as well, and has existed for a very long time and has not hurt the Pokemon franchise. I just think what's interesting here is that people are kind of pointing at this and saying like, yeah, this is not a Pokemon game, but look what Pokemon could look and play like in this day and age instead of whatever Scarlet and Violet was, which is a fucking Nintendo Switch game that's barely holding together at the seams from a performance standpoint.
This is hilarious to me, man. I find this incredibly funny. Um, okay, I wanted to see who developed this game, like
Hmm.
what country they were from, because like Pokemon with guns
Hmm.
sounds so American that it's just like, come on, like this had to be an American
No,
company,
it's
but
a
it's not.
Japanese
It's a
studio, which
Japanese
which
company.
which is one of the reasons why the game reached the concurrent player counts that it did, is because Japanese players are getting in on this as well. and folks out on the East. So
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, I don't, I don't know if this thing has legs.
I don't either.
Right?
Like that's another thing I was gonna talk about. I really do think this thing is a moment in time. From what I've heard from people that have played it, there's just not enough there to sustain
Yeah.
like a long-term player base like this. And again, it's an early access. There's a lot of stuff they could potentially add to the game to get people coming back. But I do think that this is probably more of a moment in time as opposed to anything that's indicative of long-term engagement.
Yeah, I think Nintendo would be foolish to do anything with this. This doesn't seem like it's going to be around for a while. So, and all Nintendo has to do is drop another Pokemon game, and all will be right with the world. And then maybe these people can stop getting death threats. I saw that they were getting death threats because
From
fandom
who?
is weird from Pokemon fans.
Jesus Christ,
And
Pokemon fans,
and it-
calm down.
yeah, it's weird, man. It's weird. All fandom is weird. I don't like it at all.
So I kind of want to play this, but I also don't want to spend like $30 in a game that I'm not that I don't think I'm gonna like play for a long period of time. Like I could see this being a game that like I play for a few hours and then dipping off. I also can see it being more fun with friends, but I don't usually play games online with
This
other
green
people, so.
monkey, this the green monkey holding an AK-47. Why are the guns like realistic guns? Like, they're real world guns, yo.
Apparently, like before, like when you first start the game, when you don't have like a weapon, you can actually just go and like beat up these monsters with your fists.
Jesus Christ. Goddamn Gatling gun, yo. Like the Gatling gun from Rambo 5, yo. Like,
I'm sure that
word.
matters a lot later on in the game. You don't know. You don't know. So
All these super cute designs with these hyper realistic weapons of war is just fucking astounding to me. I actually dig the aesthetic, but not enough to play this, and not enough to like buy Game Pass for a month. Like,
no.
like that's how much this is just gonna be like over by the time by the time I show any kind of interest in it.
Who?
But
But
hey,
who?
man,
But who, I mean, who could have thought? Like with Tekken and Like a Dragon coming out later this week, the first smash hit game of 2024 would be this like
right?
blatant Pokemon inspired survival game that just kind of appeared out of nowhere. So. Look, I love that we're in an industry that, as with all these like fucking amazing like AAA and big budget games that we have, that we can still get shit like this that just kind of appears. I think that's very fun. So,
Yeah.
the next story was probably the other most talked about thing this week, and I think that the headlines that were generated about this were much more salacious than the actual content of what this person said. So Ubisoft's director of subscription, which is a sensible title, but one I've never heard before, Philippe Tremblay, did an interview with GamesIndustry.biz and said that there is, quote, tremendous opportunity for growth for video game subscription models, but in order for them to grow, the mindset of consumers must change. And what he said is, quote, one of the things we saw is gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you built in the game or your engagement with the game. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. Now, I get,
Talking about Game Pass,
yeah, look, I understand what he's saying. Like he's like, hey, like I want to grow Ubisoft Plus subscriptions because that's, they just rolled out their revised Ubisoft Plus tiers. Yes, Ubisoft has their own fucking subscription. Who would pay more money than Game Pass per month to play just Ubisoft games? I have no idea. But like it's this dude's job to grow that project. So I understand where he's coming from a little bit. I think that the games industry, like in terms of what video games are as a product, is fundamentally different than DVDs or music in that way, just because of how much time you spend with a game and how much active time you spend, interacting with that product. Like, so I can't remember what podcast I was listening to, but someone made the point that, like, with a movie, right? You buy a movie on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, and you'll watch it. Let's say it's a movie you like a lot. You'll probably watch it 3, 4, maybe 5 times in the lifetime that you own it. But it's going to spend 99.99% of its life sitting on a shelf, right? Like it's just going to be fucking sitting there. So like there's a cost that comes with storing and logistics that come with like maintaining this thing that you don't use that much. So that's why like streaming movies just makes sense, right? Because you clear up space in your house and it's there for you when you want it. With games, like there are games it's not unheard of or even rare to spend dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours with a video game. And so most people, like if they're going to spend that amount of time with a product, they're going to want to own that product. Like you would never like rent a car in perpetuity. You know what I mean? Like, because that would get ridiculously expensive. But
yeah, but you also can lease cars.
That's true.
Right?
It's true.
You can also lease cars. You can, and look, I don't mean to. Like, I'm just playing devil's advocate
Sure,
for the sake of conversation. What's the percentage of people that actually finish games? I mean, if you buy that game and you play it for a minute, if you're me, right, and you buy a game, it's sitting on your shelf, you play it for a while, and then oh shit, another game comes out next week. I gotta have it, right? Because these are the type of people we're talking about, right? Like that would be that jumped into Game Pass and stuff like that. This guy is trying to get the super duper casual people in who don't finish games, who maybe just want to throw something on there. So I see what this guy is saying. I don't know if this is like something that was lost in translation, but that last line is what's sticking in people's craw. Feel comfortable about not owning your game. You can't spin it like that. Like for this guy to be in charge of like this wing of Ubisoft, he needs to learn how to spin better. You need to get comfortable with the idea of a subscription service like the incredibly successful Game Pass, right? Like Ubisoft Plus. I get what this person's saying. This is more of the whole getting comfortable about not owning your game thing should be for people who buy digital games and then want to come back 5 years later and they can't play it because servers are down, the system's obsolete, technology has moved on, or whatever.
Well, I was going to offer a counterpoint to my own argument anyway, to say that those of us that buy games pretty much exclusively digitally, including the two people that are talking to you on this podcast right now, you can argue that we don't own games anymore anyway, because technically you're not buying the game, you're buying a license to play the game. And and as we've seen in rare instances, that license is revocable at any time a company deems that it's time to revoke it. Or, to Micah's point, if it's a online required game and the company just shuts the servers down, well, guess what? That game functionally ceases to exist, whether you bought it or not. So, like, at the same time, like, what is he actually saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. This is just a weird, and like the people who are not comfortable, like they might not admit it, but like anybody who buys a game digitally is comfortable with the idea that they may not be able to play this game again. The people who would be really up in arms are video game collectors and historians and stuff like that. And while I respect that wing of this fandom, that's a small minority, man. That's a real small minority. I remember when we first started this podcast, I was like, Jay will never let me forget it. I was like, oh, this is dumb. I'm not gonna buy games digitally. I want a whole ass wall full of games because I'm gonna play them. And no, no,
No, because
no.
eventually, like, and the reason that music and movies have transitioned into basically digital industries at this point is because the convenience factor is just too high
Yeah,
for that stuff, and games have found a way to break through, in that same way. Now that being said, you can still purchase digital movies. Like it's not like Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and other subscription services are the only way to consume movies in this day and age. Obviously, the amount of people who just rely on subscription services for movies is much, much, much higher than the amount of people who primarily rely on subscription services for games at this point. And I would expect you'll see that shift over time. But I don't know. I just think that there's something inherent with video games that's different than movies, that's different than music, that is going to still want people to quote unquote own these products that they're buying at higher rates. And I think that the adoption, like and again, quote me in 10 years and shove this in my face when I'm wrong. I can't see a world where I only have my subscription services to my games and I don't actually buy like games that I want to play.
yeah. I mean, look, I'm right there with you. I dropped
Right.
Game Pass because I don't use it, right? And I will gladly pay $70 to buy a game that I know I want to play rather than $15 every single month to have a catalog of games that I don't necessarily want to play. Um yeah, the subscription thing could work. It could. The problem is if you want us to jump in on your subscription service, like day one games got to be on your service.
Well, they are.
And it
So
can't
if you have
well,
Ubisoft Plus, you do get day one.
and that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like it can't just be one publisher and only their games.
Hmm.
It's got to be a wide variety. This can't be what all these subscription services for movies are turning into, the new cable, right?
Hmm.
I got stuff I can only watch on Netflix, only watch on Paramount, only watch on Max, only watch on Hulu, only watch on Disney. Like it doesn't having all those subscriptions is not going to be sustainable. But so I don't know how the subscription model works
Hmm.
with it unless you are a super die-hard, like I ride or die with this corporation type
Right.
of person. And if you are, please don't be because they don't give a fuck about you.
Mike, and this pains your heart, but there is at least like 3 people out there who have like completely bought in to like the Ubisoft open world game, and that's all they want to play. And so this service is like just for them. Like I want to play the same game in different settings all year long. Like just give me 2 or 3 of those a year, and I'm happier than a pig in shit. I mean, honestly, like if Ubisoft really wants to juice this up, what they'd have to do is they'd have to like not release their games in any format but Ubisoft Plus. So they're like, hey, like if you want to play the new Assassin's Creed, you got to have
Right.
Ubisoft Plus. They're not going to do that because,
They'll never
because
do
that'd be a really great way to make sure the new Assassin's Creed game fails spectacularly. But that, I mean, like I said, Microsoft is different because Microsoft is a platform holder, and Microsoft was offering Game Pass as a supplement to something they were already offering, and so it's a little bit different for them. I think if you're a third party publisher, you have a different. It's just a different way to go. Like Sony could probably do what Microsoft does with Game Pass if they wanted to. I mean, they're not going to because they know that you'll pay $70 for their fucking games. I don't know if you saw, like, so they released that Last of Us 2 upgrade thing
Yeah.
for PS5, and they had to refund a bunch of people who didn't realize that there was a $10 upgrade option if you already owned Last of Us 2. They were just going out, like, people were literally going out and like, hey, I just bought Last of Us 2 a couple years ago, but I'm going to buy this $70 game again. That's how much I love
Come
it.
on, yo.
So
Okay. Ah, Jesus Christ.
yeah. So we'll take a quick break and then we will come back with more news. All right, so some news that I saw, and as soon as I saw this news, a thought snapped in my head. And Mike, I'll see if you have the same thought. So, the former founders of Rocksteady Studios, Sefton Hill, Jamie Walker, left a couple months ago from Rockstar Games, and now they have opened their a new studio in London called 100 Star Games, which is being described as a AAA game studio startup that will consist of only 100 industry veterans and emerging talents. Now, the word on the street is, and actually this is not even the word on the street, it's just a fact, they are bringing with them a lot of folks who were at Rocksteady, a lot of lead talent, lead developers, director level folks left Rocksteady in the last several months to join this new venture. Like they're already recruiting a lot of the top talent from Rocksteady Games. The thought that I had immediately, as soon as I saw this news, is Rocksteady's probably not long for this world, especially if Suicide Squad comes out and gets the reception that we think it's going to get.
I agree. I'm fascinated by Suicide Squad because it's not every day that like a car crash is coming. Like usually it's an accident, right? And accidents are like right there, like that's the definition, right? But like the anticipation for the meteor that is about to crater the studio is so like it's Schadenfreude. and and I've been looking at like developer diaries. They put out 3 developer diaries for this game. The studio did. And like the first, I mean, to see them like bend and twist their rationale into like why the game is this way is hysterical. It's sad. As a matter of fact, the second diary gave away story spoilers. Like it gave away story spoilers. Like they're touting the story as like the big reason why all you Arkham fans need to come and play this game. And they're literally just giving away things that happen in the story. And that is not a good sign.
No,
And then this third, it's this is fascinating to me.
we didn't talk about it in the show a couple weeks ago. They had like a preview event for all the major sites that played the game for several hours. IGN gets a lot of shit. That's a little undue. But IGN also like usually pretty effusive in praise in all of their previews. Like previews are not generally a place where they levy a critical hand. Like they usually just kind of talk about the positive aspects of the game. The IGN preview for Suicide Squad was literally titled I played Suicide Squad and I did not like it.
That's a preview, man.
It was so like the reception in the industry at large was so rough. Rocksteady literally released players who played the game in a closed beta that you had to sign an NDA to participate in. They literally released those players, like normal run-of-the-mill players, from their NDAs so that they could go online and speak positively about the game.
That's fucking hysterical.
Like
man.
that's where we're at right now with Suicide Squad. And again, like I feel very badly for all the folks at Rocksteady who have been working their asses off for the past 9 years to get this game out the door and to have it be good and to have it be something that's desirable. Look, I think you just picked the wrong property. Like you picked the wrong DC property. Like I think everyone would have been super excited for the rumored Justice League game. I mean, I guess technically this is a Justice League game of sorts that they released. And I think that like the gameplay style is just so like it's so anti what players loved about your other games. And I get that they didn't want to just go back to the well with, and I love how we're talking about the game like this. It's not even fucking out yet. I get that they just didn't want to go back to the well with Batman again, especially because Spider-Man, you could argue, has really taken that gameplay that the Batman games had and evolved it in such a way. So like at the same, like if you came out with another game like that, you'd just be like, well, Spider-Man, like you'd be directly compared to Spider-Man, and probably not favorably, I bet, because Spider-Man is really good by all accounts. So I get they wanted to go in a different direction, but the fact that they landed on this, and again, I don't understand how when they saw the reception that Marvel Avengers got almost 4 years ago, if you can believe it,
Yeah.
when that game came out, I don't know how they didn't immediately slam the brakes on timeout, reverse course, because this is not the way. Like what? How much hubris do you have to have, or is it just like sunk cost fallacy, where
I think that's it.
yeah, where it's just like
I,
we've invested too much, we can't change direction now.
I mean, do you think that the next Rocksteady game, this next game, would be more well received if it wasn't an Arkham Batman game? Like if it was just a brand new IP from the studio that brought you the critically acclaimed Arkham series. Do you think it would be received a little better than this?
Is it still a looter shooter?
Yes, it's the exact same game, just none of the baggage that Arkham and Batman bring to this.
I
Bring with.
I think that we have seen enough companies swing and miss at the looter concept at this point that I think it still would have been pretty badly received. Maybe not as badly because it's very easy to dunk on Suicide Squad as a property just because it has the baggage of the movies as well. Even though apparently the second movie was actually good,
Yeah.
it's got a lot of baggage with that as well. So that's part of what's feeding this. But again, if like I don't care what the IP was, if you created a looter shooter and announced it as such, again, you have to look in the context of what the world is. Like we saw, look, if Avengers couldn't succeed with that kind of a concept, who the fuck can? like I feel like the games that have been successful being looters, those are the games that got it right. And it took a real long time and a lot of trial and error for those games to get it right. Like again, we've talked about it before on the show. Destiny didn't come out of the gate all cylinders firing. Not by a long shot. It took a whole year for that game to get right when it first released.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know, man. I've seen some people, and these people, admittedly might be a bit contrarian, but I've seen some people say that they didn't hate it, but nobody's
that's
saying they loved it.
I say that's still not
Nobody.
a ringing endorsement. That's still not a ringing endorsement. If I go to a fucking restaurant and they're like, "How was your meal?" It's like, "Well, I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't vomit all over my fucking shoes after I was done." I don't know that you're like, "Well, I can't wait to fucking go to that restaurant. I'm gonna fucking call and book a reservation right now." No, it's not gonna get anyone in the
Oh
door.
shit.
So yeah, like I said, I think we are destined for this game to be a tremendous fucking train wreck when it comes out in what, a month or so, give or take.
Yeah,
So
can't wait to see it. And oh, by the way, at the end of that month, Final Fantasy comes out. I mean, yeah, boy, like,
insane. Look, we warned you all last week that 2024 was going to be the year of AI, and according to Square Enix, they've already started. According to producer Kosuke Okatani, FoamStars, that's right, that game that everyone forgot about that's basically like Splatoon, but at a fucking rave, said that their team has, quote, dabbled with AI art program Midjourney, but that the majority of the game has been crafted by hand. He said all of the core elements in FoamStars, the core gameplay, and the things that make the game enjoyable, those are all made by hand. Apparently, according to the developer, the AI-generated work in FoamStars makes up 0.01% or even less of the game, saying that Square Enix wanted to experiment with AI technology for the upcoming release.
I mean, okay, like,
So why even say it? So why,
yeah,
like it's so insignificant. If people wouldn't have probably paid it any mind, why would you call attention to it?
yeah. I'm AI. I'm weird on AI.
Hmm.
Apparently, it's it's a viable tool. To use it as such. I just don't like the idea of using AI for art. That's
Yeah.
all.
Well, and that's what
And
they did here. So apparently, like in the game, there are the soundtrack is like an original soundtrack that they made, but
Mhm.
they have like in-game album covers for the music, and that's what they used Midjourney for. My question to them is, and again, I know what the answer is because Square wanted to fuck around with it. How hard would it have been to just fucking pay an artist to make
Yeah,
to make
man.
that stuff?
Yeah, man. Like I just I mean, apparently it's really hard, right? Because you don't. We've seen these companies do literally the scroogiest thing possible to not have to pay people, right? Um, but I don't know. Look, I use AI when I'm editing my photos, but I'm using it to like touch things up or
Hmm.
to remove like wires and stuff. Like I'm not using it to create a landscape that my photos can be transposed on. Like it just I don't know, man. Like just pay people.
Yeah.
Do what you always do. Pay people and then fire them at the most inopportune time.
Boy, what's gonna happen when like Final Fantasy 16 or Final Fantasy 14 comes out with their next expansion and Square is actually using like some AI assets in the game? How do you think fans are gonna especially for Final Fantasy? How do you think fans will react to that? Probably not well.
Yeah, I can't imagine it would be. Can't imagine it would be well. I cannot imagine.
So look, we have talked ad nauseum for the last several months about layoffs in the games industry. But we were reminded this week, thanks to GDC, that the impact of these layoffs extend even further than the folks who were unlucky enough to lose their jobs. According to a survey that GDC put out to game developers, 35% of game developers have been impacted by layoffs in the games industry in the last 12 months. And half of those people are concerned that more layoffs are coming along the way. Because again, look, when you, it's not like when folks get laid off at a company that they were just kind of sitting around with their thumb up their ass collecting a paycheck, not doing anything. They were working on stuff, and that work when you lay somebody off is going to get shifted to somebody else that's still there. So when you lay people off, not only are you harming the folks that you're laying off, obviously, but you're also making the studio in general less efficient because the people that are still there have to make sure that the rest of that work gets done.
Which is
And
why I
we
don't
yeah
understand. That's why I don't understand like hiring all these people to do this work and then firing all of it and then expect work to still like your output to still be
yeah
there.
and
And then
and
it's a
look
weird
this
cycle.
and look this is like something that is common in the game industry is as games come closer to completion, right? You'll see studios staff up because there's a lot more stuff that needs to get done. Usually with contractors, typically, by the way, when that happens. And then after the game comes out and the game and it becomes more of a maintenance instead of a creative thing, then they scale back down. That's not uncommon, and usually people that are hired for those jobs like understand the score going in the door. That's very different than what's been happening in the industry for the last several months. So I understand, in cases where there's literally just less work to be done, why you might need to cut staff, but that's not what's going on here. What's going on here is publishers and holdings companies went buck wild during the pandemic and spent a lot of money while interest rates were low, and then all of a sudden the bank's knocking on the door now in a much tighter market. And the first, like, when you have to cut costs, the very first thing that you are going to turn to is labor, because in any industry, doesn't matter what the industry is, games, transportation, whatever, labor is always your most controllable expense. And so it's the first thing that usually gets chopped when capital needs to be raised or cut in a hurry. And that's all,
Yeah.
and that's the only reason why this has happened. So
Yep. Stinks, man.
It does. Couple other questions on this survey. 57% of the people they polled were explicitly in favor of unionization, with only 12% saying that they were not. Let's see what else we got here that's interesting. They asked about blockchain technologies, including cryptocurrency and NFC. 70% of developers said that they were completely uninterested in using that technology in their games. Yeah, so that's. But like I said, I think it's, we often talk about the layoffs, but we don't forget about the people who were, still left holding the bag essentially at the end of the day. So I thought it was important to highlight that. We'll take another quick break, and we'll be back with even more news. Micah, I know you used to work for the patent and trade office, and I know that that's not exactly. Or actually, did you guys handle trademark disputes? Was that in your purview, or was it just patents mostly?
The patents and trades are two separate entities.
Okay, gotcha. Trademark law is dumb.
Yeah.
is what I will say. So, Remedy Games, recently, of course, the publishers of Alan Wake 2, decided that they wanted a fresh new logo to spruce up what they got going on over at Remedy. So they rolled out a new logo, right? And the logo is a letter R with like some. What would you call those, Micah? Like, what's the proper term for how the art effect used there?
It looks like mirror images of the R and back of the R.
Okay.
It's like if you were to roll your R's and you wanted a visual representation of that, that's what it would look like.
You know what it looks like to me? It looks like, so like my sliding glass door curtain that I have in my house is actually like 4 panels that kind of overlap each other, and it looks like if you had 3 panels, all of which had an R on them, and the 2 in the back were being slightly overlapped. Essentially, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, if you take an R, if you have 3 squares and you write R on each of them, and then you put them and then you fan them out, that is what that looks like.
Yes, and with the word Remedy in block letters underneath of it. Okay, so this is a perfectly cromulent studio logo. It's, looks good on a game box, looks nice and banal and whatever. But you know who didn't like this, Micah? Take-Two Interactive did not care for this one little bit, because they think that this Remedy logo is too close to that of Rockstar Games.
Shut up.
Ironically, 2 studios that have worked together in the past and will work together in the future. But Take-Two is like, nah, it's too close to the Rockstar logo. Now, the Rockstar logo, everyone knows, is a black scripted R that connects to a star, literally Rockstar, on a yellow background. Okay, and they told Remedy that they were probably going to file a trademark dispute about this logo. Now, apparently, they haven't actually filed the dispute yet. The 2 companies are talking to each other to see if they can sort it out between themselves. But Micah, I don't understand how Take-Two could say, hey, here's these 2 logos, they're way too similar. Remedy's got to change their logo because it's creeping on the Rockstar logo.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. This is utterly ridiculous. First of all, I don't like the Remedy logo. I think it looks ugly. It looks like PR, right? And the Rockstar logo is way too close to the prescription logo, right? The little RX logo that you see when you go to like the doctors and you fill out a prescription or something. That's what it always reminded me of. Oh man, this is silly. This is silly and this is dumb. This is companies with literally nothing to do.
Apparently, this is par for the course, though, for Take-Two Interactive. So in 2021, They filed a trademark claim against Hazelight Studios, the Joseph Ferris studio, because they titled their game "It Takes Two," and they thought, that's too close to Take Two Interactive. You can't do that.
Yo,
And Eurogamer found out as they were reporting on that story that there's a ton of filings from Take Two to contest names where if anyone dares to use Rockstar in the title of something, Social Club, Mafia, Civilization, like use any of those terms in a name or
so
something like
the,
that, and Take Two is coming for you.
so the patent trolls or
They're
like
trademark trolls, yeah.
the trademark. Yo, come on, man. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Like I know people like need to do things to justify their jobs, but like this shit is gross, man. Like just shut up. You can't trademark specific words. Like that are in common usage,
Yeah.
right? Like you could trademark stuff that is like Pokemon, right? Like what
Yeah.
the fuck is that, right? If you create a word, you could trademark it. But like this is ridiculous, man. Shut up. All right, let's just shut up. I can't look at this. This is fucking dumb.
Oh my goodness. Micah, I'm going to ask you a question, then I'm going to reveal why I asked you that question before I let you answer it. Is Halo Infinite a failure in what it set out to do? And the reason I ask that is because 343 Industries has announced that the upcoming Season 5 for Halo Infinite's multiplayer will be its last. And once that goes live on January 30th, seasons will be retired and replaced by, quote, operation events instead of seasons, which will run for much shorter periods of time, have much shorter battle passes, and generally change the just the live service aspect of Halo Infinite. Now, Halo Infinite came out in, it had a rough launch. I think it's fair to say. Got a full year delay, and when the game came out, it was just rough. It was in a rough state of mind. Still fun though. I mean, it was Micah's number 2 game of the year back in 2021. That's how much Micah enjoyed playing Halo Infinite. But this was supposed to be like back to Halo as a flagship. Like this was supposed to be like their answer to Call of Duty. Like with Warzone and stuff like that in that space. And so that's why I asked you, like, do you think that Halo Infinite can be considered a failure at this point with this news?
I mean, if you set those incredibly lofty expectations on it, then yes, I think this wasn't failure. Failure is a strong word.
Mm-hmm.
When the game came out, it did what it was supposed to do, and but at the same time, but like we shouldn't be applauding that, right? Like it's supposed to work, right? And it does, and it's fun to play, and controls are tight, and the my biggest gripes that I can remember is all the battle pass bullshit, but like that's inherent to the genre. Um, but I mean, if this were any other game,
Mm-hmm.
or this would be pretty impressive. But it's Halo, and that comes with a certain amount of baggage. So I guess I won't say it was a failure, but I will say it didn't live up to its lofty expectations.
Fair enough.
And look, I don't think it's I think it's perfectly fair to have those expectations from this studio on this particular IP. If you want to take on the thing that put the Xbox on the map, like you really do need to put a lot of time, effort, care. And I'm not saying they didn't, but you gotta be on the cutting edge.
Mm-hmm.
And this just was, it was fine. It was fun. I enjoyed it. but I did not feel the need to continue after like midway through the second season. I was just like, okay, I got it.
Look, I'm going to say this knowing that, with the admission that I enjoyed the very little time that I spent playing Halo Infinite. Like, I played that game for a hot minute and I had a lot of fun, but it didn't keep me around. It has been, and it's gonna age some people, and I'm sorry in advance for doing it. It's been 14 years almost since the last like universally praised Halo game released.
Was that Reach?
Yeah.
Yeah, Halo Reach was amazing.
Why does Halo at today in 2024 deserve that benefit of the doubt to be like one of gaming's Titanic series? Or has it gone the way of and this is gonna sound very flippant, and it's not flippant, and plus it's also really not fair because they just did put out a good game a couple years ago. But has it gone the way of like a Crash Bandicoot?
I think if you're going to talk about a series, right, you have to talk about it in its totality. That includes the good, but you also can't like use that as a defense to not talk about the bad.
Yeah.
And it's fair to talk about the bad or the mediocre. That's what Halo Infinite is, especially in comparison to the rest of the series. It's mediocre. Halo 4 wasn't good. Did they do Halo 4? Did 343?
343. That was the first one that they did. Yeah.
The 343 Halos aren't that good. They're just not. They're mediocre.
Just like the non-Naughty Dog Crash Bandicoots aren't that good.
Right.
They're just mediocre till 4
mediocre,
came out. Yeah.
So, I still think that you can't deny the impact of that game, and but at the same time, like that's why when people talk about like people who have just died, they either want to talk about only the good stuff or only the bad stuff, right? Like, no, you can talk about it all. Talk about it all, right? Halo was a pillar. It held up a company. Now it's just kind of going through the motions. It would be nice to see. This franchise kind of bounce back. But like, that's also the way of the world when it comes to this stuff. Like, as much as I say that, like, you don't want to be Call of Duty, at least in my eyes. Like, the big wigs want you to be Call of Duty, right? Because it's just like churning out money. But if you're an artist, like you want to see things evolve. You want to see things move forward. And if you're a consumer, I mean, you want to see some change, incremental change. Like most consumers want to see like vast differences and shit. I'm like, nah, yo, like just calm down, okay? Let's be a little more reasonable. But I do want to see reasonable change, and I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah. So, all I heard from what you just said is that breaking news. You heard it here first. Micah thinks that Halo dead series. That's what he said because he compared it to when somebody dies. So there you go. The last news story of the week, and look, as I titled this in the docket, if this doesn't bring Micah around, nothing will. So, Awesome Games Done Quick, or actually, just Games Done Quick. I can't remember what they call it. It's Awesome Games Done Quick. So they had their big annual event over this past weekend. So if you love watching speedrunning, and I like watching some speedrunners, I don't like glitch runs for some reason. Like it feels like cheating to me. Like I like the speed runs where someone's playing the game.
Yeah, playing the actual game.
Yeah, but like glitch runs, okay, I guess cool that you figured out how to take advantage of an exploit.
Game.
Yeah,
right.
Like, okay. But again,
hey, I figured out how to solve this Rubik's cube by ripping off all the stickers and putting them on the right side.
Literally is what it is. You're not wrong. So, but anyway, like Carrie will probably talk more about it because she's much more into the speedrunning community than we are in terms of Awesome Games Quick. But something caught my attention during the weekend, and that is that we have had our first canine speedrunner completing a game during AGDQ. A dog named Peanut Butter completed a run of the NES classic Gyromite, which of course is the game that came bundled with Rob the Robot, which was a robot peripheral that came with the NES when it first came out that could be used to play Gyromite and exactly one other game, and that's it. So basically, Peanut Butter's owner created a custom controller for Peanut Butter that had two large central buttons, one of which would lower the blue barriers for the Gyromite main character, who walks automatically when pressed and held, and the other does the same for the red barriers. And basically, the owner, to make sure that Peanut Butter played the game correctly, was feeding him pieces of ham whenever he did a good job. And he beat the game. Micah, a dog beat a video game.
No. The owner beat it. The owner beat the game using a dog as a controller. Like, get out of here, yo. This is ridiculous. This is dumb. I'm not impressed. You're not a good boy or a good girl or whatever you are. I'm not impressed. If the dog looked at the game and on its own were like, oh, okay, this. I just looked at this video. He's going, press that button. Okay, good. Here's a treat. Press that button. Okay, good. Here's a treat. Nah, man. No. If a dog took a controller and said beep, boop, beep, and then did it on its own without, with no incentive other than the fact that to beat the game, then I would be impressed. Get out of here. Shut up, dog. Dog people are weird, man. Pet people are weird. Animal people are weird.
Micah, this kicks ass. You suck. This is awesome. I also like the comment. So the article I'm pulling this from is on Aftermath. This comment says, the dogged pursuit of excellence continues without pause. PAWSE. That's a fantastic. That's a fantastic comment. Oh my gosh.
All right.
I love it. 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 We're going to take one last break. Enjoy your probably Chumba Casino ad, and then we'll be back with the post office. All right. So time for the Dense Pixels post office. Don't forget, if you are part of our Discord, densepixels.com/fans, you can ask us questions on the show, and you should go there. Because last week we talked about could any of us pull off the Eddie Gordo new haircut from Tekken 8, and Johnny photoshopped a picture of me, and I'm just gonna say it. Obviously, the Photoshop doesn't look great, but in real life, this would probably look fire as shit. Don't worry, I'm still not doing it. So, but we'll start with Johnny, who says, with the release and success of PalWorld, do you expect other companies to follow this format? Also, I hope this makes Pokemon companies step up a little on their next games. Yeah, like I said, I think if you learn anything from PalWorld is that it is possible to make Pokemon games that look good. When you say this format, though, I'm confused. What format do you mean? Do you mean copying Pokemon? Do you mean making legally distinct copies of other companies' IPs to great success? Do you mean survival games? Like I said, I think that this would not have succeeded if the game itself wasn't good. And apparently, by all accounts, the game itself is a perfectly cromulent survival base builder game. So,
yeah, I don't. No, because I think this is a flash in the pan, and I don't if this thing showed signs of longevity, then yes, I think more people would do it. Hence the looter shooter, right?
Right.
But I think this is a flash in the pan. I'm known to be wrong about a lot of things, so it wouldn't surprise me if I'm wrong about this. But I don't think this is a flash in the pan like Plastic Instruments were a flash in the pan, right? If it were going to last that long, then yeah, the Plastic Instrument craze was all the rage and bane of many a GameStop employee. But yeah, I just don't think this thing is going to be around long enough for companies to take advantage.
Agreed. Rashawn asks, how do you feel about the new Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth having a paywall behind the New Game Plus mode in the game. So apparently the new Like a Dragon New Game Plus is only available if you buy the collector's edition, and I'm assuming they'll make it available as a microtransaction.
Um, it's dumb. Um, One, I don't replay. I generally don't replay these games because these games are fucking butt long.
Mm-hmm.
Like they are like 50-hour games, and I generally don't. But that's neither here nor there. This is for people who do want to replay the game. I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb. Um, New Game Plus is it'd be one thing if they'd never had a New Game Plus or premium. They've always had what they call premium adventure, which is essentially a New Game Plus,
Mm-hmm.
where you can continue the story or you can start over with all the New Game Plus shit. I think it's dumb. I don't understand the logic. That's the dumb thing for me. I don't understand the logic. If I understood the logic, then maybe I could like try to form some sort of
Yeah.
rationale, but I just don't understand the logic of doing this.
Yeah, it's one thing like if it's almost like a Master Quest mode. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah,
there's actually different content to experience in there, but if it's just like, hey, you can replay the game and carry all your stats and items and shit over. It's yeah, you're right. It is pointless gating that behind a paywall, and it just looks greedy. It's a bad look all the way around.
yeah.
So, Mark asks, inspired by part of last week's episode, what is the oldest game in your backlog? Will you ever play it, and why?
I don't know what it is. I will never play it because if I haven't done it now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to.
I do know what it is, and I will play it because I've always been curious about this game for a very long time, and I bought it when it was free a few months ago during its 20th anniversary or 25th anniversary. Yeah, 25th anniversary, and that is Half Life because I need to see what all the fucking buzz is about. So why?
Think you're gonna get disappointed.
No, you think so?
Well, no, you maybe not because you don't necessarily let like hype influence you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I just you no, you probably won't. Like Terrence would. Like if he had never finished Half Life, like Terrence hates hype. Like if you hype something up for Terrence, it better be fucking good.
I just have to know why a non insignificant portion of gamers like talk about this game like, oh, this is the greatest first person shooter of all time or the greatest like FPS series of all time. Like I have to understand like what the deal is, and I almost wonder if it's like you had to be there kind of shit. You know what I mean? Like it was revolutionary at the time, but
Yeah.
you know, but we'll see. Cam asks, Cody, Rhea, and Bianca got the WWE 2K24 covers. Would you all have picked anyone different? And how do you feel about Cody's dog Pharaoh being a pre-order bonus character for use as a manager?
Is that for real?
Apparently.
Come on.
I think that's very funny. Like you should have had the entire Rhodes family available for use. Like have his wife, have Brandy in there, have his kid. Like
Okay,
just fucking go buck wild. Do it all.
well, guess what? Guess what? I remember in AEW, he came out with Pharaoh one day and scared the bejesus out of that goddamn dog with all that pyro. So are we doing that in this game? Like, are we gonna walk Pharaoh back inside because Pharaoh is having PTSD? Like she's been in Vietnam or some shit? Like, no, this is dumb, yo. This is dumb. See, I care more about your dogs than you people do, and I can't stand them.
Would I have picked anyone different for the cover?
There was a point where there was a point where I would say LA Knight could have been on
Mhm.
the cover, but he's kind of lost his momentum a bit. I know he's in like the 4-way on Saturday, but
Oh,
I think
that's a very strategic placement because I think they just wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to get that they weren't going to get the negative reaction for him like not winning the Royal Rumble kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't think I think everybody wanted like that guy to be pushed to the moon, but like nah, man, you can't. This is what happens when you jump the line.
Yeah.
Like now LA Knight is in this nebulous place where he's not vying for a mid card title, and there's no way he's going to win the main title.
Allow me to present to you, and we're getting off topic from the question. Shocker. What do you think about LA Knight taking the Intercontinental title from Gunther at WrestleMania? What do you how would you like that?
Yeah, I would like it, but at the same time, right? LA Knight feels. I don't know if he feels too. He doesn't feel too big for the Intercontinental title, but you had this wonderful series with Chad Gable and Gunther, and I don't know if they just kind of I don't know if Chad Gable just lost his ambition, but those were incredible matches. And that was one of those where it's like you really want to see Chad Gable win this title. Um, I I don't know. Like they're spoiled for choice, which is a good thing. Too bad it's not AEW where they had 500 belts that they could just give the people that they like.
Oh, the rankings are coming back. Did you hear?
Yeah,
I can think of another. Like I feel like this is a direct response to Tony Khan being mad about Jinder Mahal getting a title shot, even though he hadn't won a match in a year. I'm just
I
like,
think it is.
rankings are so stupid in professional wrestling. Like this is not fucking UFC. This is not boxing. Like there needs to be room for stories to be told.
And look, the rankings can be a powerful storytelling device, but I don't think anybody knows how to use it. Like not just him, I'm not shitting on him. I don't think anybody in wrestling knows how to use it, which is why it's not there. Right? Like it's you don't need a ranking system. It's soap opera.
Yeah.
I'm challenging you, brother, for the title. I want that title, brother. And then it's just like, yeah, let's do it. Or no, bitch, because you're not worthy. And then you can spin off stories from that. You don't need the fucking rank. And then the rankings reset every year and it's the same, but it's the same fucking people. And it just doesn't make sense.
To answer the question, Cody makes sense on the cover. Rhea makes sense on the cover. I don't know what, like, Bianca Belair didn't, like, I know she won at WrestleMania. She held the title for several months, but like it has been a year to remember in my eyes for her.
If you were gonna put Bianca on a cover of a 2K game, it should have been when she was champion for that year, when she held that women's division on her back for a year. Now look, I love Bianca Belair. I also love Rhea Ripley. The two of them sharing a cover feels kind of it feels kind of like let's make sure we check boxes. I would rather one or the other, and in this case, it would have to be Rhea just because she's the one that's having like the stellar run right now. Not even a stellar run. Like she's not even like
Look, she aside from Roman Reigns, she is the most credible champion in that company right this second. So.
Yeah, she is. She is. But I'm just saying, like the way
and that's saying something considering Gunther has been Intercontinental Champion for like 20 months at this point.
The way she's being booked is just kind of weird to me.
It is.
Like that's my only thing about her reign. She's being booked kind of weird. But I would say give it to Rhea, and of course Cody makes sense. Cody, like they're treating Cody is like, what if John Cena but a politician?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This baffles me because people remember like when Cody was in AEW, I couldn't fucking stand him. I hated him in AEW. For some reason, I'm basically the same character. I'm completely fine with it in WWE. Make it make sense. I don't understand it at all.
I don't understand that because I actually really liked Cody Rhodes in AEW. I really did. He was a bright spot. Every time I turned it on, I'm like, all right, this guy is being compelling.
They had like the whole fucking like
acting.
They had the fucking whole like gimmick with like fucking like I lost my mojo. I need Arn Anderson to help me fucking get it back, and Arn Anderson's talking about shooting people in the head with guns or something. Like it was weird. It was fucking weird, and like I hated him there. And I'm like when he came to WWE, I'm like, oh, big whoop de doo. Like it's gonna I don't know what's gonna change, and for some reason like I'm just like, oh yeah, like totally makes sense in WWE.
because that's where he always felt like a WWE guy while
Mm-hmm.
he was in AEW to me. And that the hardcore AEW crowd
Mm-hmm.
always felt like they like they like like they like I don't know what it's called. They like combat zone wrestling. You know what I mean? And like he even tried to do some of that stuff on
Mm-hmm.
his way out, setting himself on fire for you people. Like, what the fuck? Like, no, I don't give a fuck. If I don't give a fuck how much I love you people. I'm not lighting myself on fire for you, yo. Like, get out of here. He did a lot for those people, man. And when he left, that was kind of that was kind of like, okay, this is really a secondary thing for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not into, but I'm just not into. I'm a casual wrestling fan. Like I'm not into all that weird ass. Like I know everybody loves Eddie Kingston. I don't see it, yo. I don't see it. I know people like Hangman Page. I don't see it. I think Swerve is great. I think that's one of the biggest dropped balls the WWE has, letting that guy go. Who else do I like over there? Did I say Swerve?
You did, yeah.
Oh man.
Not you not
Oh,
not an MJF guy. He's really won
Swerve.
me over.
I actually really like MJF.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like MJF. I like his heel work. He's proven that he can do stupid sports entertainment stuff, like early on with Chris Jericho, and then with the little kangaroo shit. Um, I, I but as far as like the homegrowns, and Swerve isn't even a homegrown, but he kind of feels like one. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as the homegrowns, I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of people off the top of my head.
I mean, like I said, I really like MJF. I think that if Adam Cole can ever stay healthy, he'll look like a huge drop ball for WWE.
Yeah, yeah, but he just fucking jumped down 2 feet and
Yeah.
broke his goddamn
I
ankle or something.
I'll tell you what, I've really come around on Orange Cassidy as well. Like I think that I think that I understand the gimmick now. Like it's very funny to me, and that dude can actually like really wrestle really
Yeah,
well.
yeah. They got a lot
So
of talent, man.
yeah,
But I'm a casual fan. I like characters. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I'm a rube. Give me fucking characters and not like I know John Moxley loves being John Moxley, but like
Yeah,
I
you're right.
like Dean
It is a
Ambrose better,
weird.
yo.
It is a weird character, for sure. So, Gerard asks, "What is your favorite movie to game adaptation?"
Check this out. X-Men Origins
Yeah,
Wolverine.
that's the answer. Like that, that's obviously the answer. It is the only recorded time in the history of the universe where the game was actually better than the movie that it was based on.
Yeah. And that's because it wasn't based they built a Wolverine game first and
Hmm.
then Fox was like, "Hey, can we get in on this?" Or that's why that game is so good, man. Yeah, that's it. That's the answer.
Yeah,
It's a great game.
I won't go that far. It's a
I
very
think it's
good
a
hack and
great part.
slash. It is not on a good character action game. It is not like the
It's
big.
not fun. No, right.
You
It's
do
not.
not you
I'm
do
not.
not need to go out of your way to play it today. Is what I'm saying.
No, no. And maybe I'm looking at it through rose-colored glasses. It's a solid 7.5 out of 10.
Yes. Which again, that's high. That's a high. That's high. But again, when the bar's on the floor, it's very easy to step over it when it comes to movie to game adaptations. Mad Coco G asks, "Is there a long dormant game genre that you miss? Like I really enjoyed rail shooters like Time Crisis, and sucks that the home experience for this is non-existent or shoddy attempts like the House of the Dead remake. Any genres, Micah, that you are pining for? I already know my answer, but I want to give you a shot to field it.
I don't I don't think so. Like all of the like this person says the rail shooter, like
Hmm.
Panzer Dragoon and stuff like that was fun, but you know what I miss? I miss like rhythm puzzle games.
Hmm.
I like rhythm puzzle games. I play Tetris Beat on my phone, but I'm looking at stuff like frequency and stuff like that. I actually kind of miss those games.
The genre of game that I miss, And it's crazy that it's not around still, because I feel like that these games are usually critically acclaimed and were very popular, and maybe they just aren't like uber popular forever, and that's why they're not around anymore. What happened to the arcade sports game, Micah? What
Oh
happened to
man,
that whole
like
fucking genre?
Blitz.
Blitz,
Yeah,
NBA
man.
Jam, NHL Hits, NBA Street, fucking
Yeah.
like what happened to those games? How is it that like I understand why Blitz isn't getting made because the NFL would never give it, never give you the license for that game at this point anymore. But like especially in the NBA, like NBA Jam, NBA Street, two legendary franchises. How is it there has not been an arcade basketball game released since what 2010? I think was when On Fire edition came out for NBA Jam
Yeah.
or something like that. Like it's
Like that, yeah.
crazy. Like FIFA Street had a couple good titles. Now, I mean, they kind of have Volta mode, which is the same thing, but it's not the same thing. And NHL
Yeah.
came out with a really fun 3-on-3 arcade game about 10 fuck, it's been longer than that, like damn near 12 years ago at this point. That I remember I played with friends incessantly. Like I fucking love that game. It would have been awesome to see it fleshed out into like a bigger thing. Yeah, like I like arcade sports games. Where are you? Like how
Yeah.
is it that you're not here?
Yeah. Remember that one Blitz game? It was just Blitz, but like Lawrence
Oh,
Taylor was in it.
Blitz the League, where you could like give your
And
fucking players like
yeah,
steroid injections on the sidelines
yeah,
and
give them
shit.
injections in their ass on the side. Like, god damn,
There
yo.
was a
Like,
little
what
mini
the
there was a little mini game where you had to like aim the needle in like their buttock to be able to get it.
oh
Oh,
shit.
that game sucked. T Wash asks, in your opinion, what is the worst voice acting you ever heard for a character? Theirs is Second Impact Alex's Michael Jackson voice.
Oh man. Name a David Cage game.
That's true. That's true. The private detective from Heavy Rain is definitely up there
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
list. Um,
Jason's dad was really bad. The problem is that like
they're
they
all
got a
French
bunch of
actors. Yeah,
they're all French actors playing like people from Philadelphia.
right. So it can't be like you can't look at performances that are intentionally bad because like that like to me like I've heard the VO from like Xenoblade Chronicles and that seems like outrageous to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like that's like that they're going for that honestly. You know who really disappointed me? Philip Michael Thomas's character, his voice work in Vice City was a major disappointment. Like he was just mailing it
Yeah.
in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, because voice acting is a different skill set than like acting.
But
And
what was he doing in fucking 2002 anyway? He wasn't doing shit. Look, I
funny.
love Miami Vice more than anyone else I know, and I'm gonna fucking tell you that like Phil he was doing nothing. He was doing nothing around that time. Couldn't put your back into it a little bit. Come on, man! Like it was fucking awesome that you were in that game in the first place, but you were fucking lazy. Get out of here.
Yeah. You just needed a paycheck.
Uh,
Hate.
Finally, Anthony says, "What other purchases have you made for just one game, such as buying a new TV with better resolution, or building a PC to start PC gaming, or buying a fight stick for just one game?" Micah, how have you? I know you have to have made some silly purchases for
I
very niche reasons.
the first 4K TV I got was right when the PlayStation 5 was coming out because it was like, all right, guys, like I can't have this system and not have a 4K TV. So yeah, I bought a TV for a game system,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always wanted to kind of get better with a fight stick,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm actually this close to buying a $200 fight stick for Tekken because I feel like I feel like because I already played Tekken like this, like
Mm-hmm.
with Tekken Claw. So if I can just move my hand from a D-pad to a joystick, I feel like it would be an easy transition, and then I can transition into other fighters. But yeah, I'm real close to buying a $2 fight stick.
Which one,
Uh,
if I may ask?
just a Hori fight stick.
Okay.
Nothing fancy. Nothing. I don't need anything. It's the cheapest I could find at the moment. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That can get here within a week.
Gotcha.
Not even a week. Within a couple days.
So we make a lot of fun of Micah for his loose pockets when it comes to stuff in gaming. When it comes to gaming accessories, though, gaming hardware, it's me. I'm the problem. In reality. So let's see. Like, I don't play that many fighting games. Like, I basically only play Street Fighter. I have spent probably close to $400 on a number of arcade fight sticks and or fight pads in my life. Like, as far as racing goes, I basically just play Gran Turismo and maybe some F1. Though I do want to get into some of the Automobilista and fucking Assetto Corsa on PC. But my racing rig, and this is a cheap racing rig, by the way, but my racing rig I probably spent close to $500 on, between the wheelbase and pedals and the frame and a shifter and a fucking replacement steering wheel. So like, yeah, like, when it comes to, like, Mike will buy all the games in the world. I will buy all the gaming accessories in the world, even though I absolutely 100% do not need them. Because I just enjoy how they enhance the experience. I also owned all the fucking plastic instruments back in the plastic instrument heyday. I had the full Rock Band set with the cymbals, and I had the Guitar Hero guitars laying around and whatnot. Yeah, I spend way too much. Fuck Micah. I spent, well, I didn't spend it. This was a gift, but I would have spent it. I spent $60 on an Ambernick RGX 35X just to play retro GBA and Super Nintendo games. My Steam Deck works perfectly fine, but I'm like, this little Game Boy looking thing's too fucking cute. I gotta get it. That was a Christmas gift though, so I don't have to wear that badge of shame. So yeah, I'm the issue when it comes to fucking gaming accessories. I will spend. Listen, I bought that Astro C40 controller, which I really loved for PS4. That was $200. Did I need to spend that money? Absolutely not. How many fucking headsets have I bought gaming wise? Even though the ones that I have work perfectly fine, I'm like, I need to upgrade. I need something that's a little bit better. So, yes, that's my sickness is gaming hardware. I'm an easy mark for that stuff.
This fire stick is down like $15.
Better jump on it.
And you can get it by Thursday if I order within 2 hours. All right, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
So, thank you guys for submitting your questions, as you can do if you are a member of our Discord by going to densepixels.com/fans. It's going to do it for the show this week. Micah, parting words.
Carrie, get well soon. We hope you to get well. We wish you to get well. And yeah, nobody bother me this weekend. 'Cause, I'm gonna be busy.
I have a feeling a good chunk of the Discord will be playing at least one of those two games that are coming out this weekend.
Yeah, if you wanna play me in Tekken, find me. I can be your Mokujin.
I even know what that is.
I say that in hopes that people will be overconfident, and then maybe I can psych them out because I'm not terrible at Tekken, but like I'm not like good at it.
Yeah.
I like Street Fighter. I'm not terrible, but I'm not like I'm not good enough to gloat. So
Mike,
find me.
I will not be joining you in those games this weekend because I cannot stop playing Against the Storm, which is really fun, and I put almost 50 hours into it, and I have reached the final boss in Octopath Traveler, who is really hard, and I need to get my party together to to be able to beat it.
One of those like you. All right, I'll be back in a couple hours after I've.
No, it's not even a grind thing. Like, I'm leveled enough. I just need to get my equipment right, get my jobs situated correctly. Because the way that the fight, like all 8 of your characters have to be legit in the fight in order to do it. And they're all leveled, but I paid more attention to some of them from a specking aspect than others. So
Gotcha.
yes. So all right, well that's it. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much for watching and listening. See you next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.